David Keith Lynch, born January 20th, 1946, is an American filmmaker, television director, visual artist, musician, and occasional actor. Known for his surrealist films, he's developed his own unique cinematic style, dubbed Lynchian, which is characterized by its dream imagery and its meticulous sound design. But thematically, Lynchian means a particular kind of irony, where the very macabre and the very mundane combine in such a way to reveal the former's perpetual containment within the latter. In other words, the scary parts of his stories are the ones that are real. In the context of his abstract short films, he knows that even narrative is comforting. He wants to unsettle us. He casts us into absurdity and doesn't give us a lifeline. He scares us and tells us that everything we're feeling is real. As for his feature-length productions, he goes the opposite way. He uses stunning realism to frighten us. That's why his style worked so well in his production of Elephant Man. It's real, a true story about a horribly disfigured man who lives a morose life of torture. While Eraserhead definitely dabbles in the visual abstract, the theme, the story, if you will, is the fear of fatherhood. Lynch uses abstract imagery and formless fears to represent real-world insecurities. The worlds that David Lynch creates in his films are completely familiar and yet entirely foreign. They're nightmarish renditions of reality, the not-quite-right small-town American dream. Oftentimes, David Lynch turns down an opportunity to implement color in his productions and chooses instead to work in black and white. He does this as a way of depriving the viewer of visual information. He makes you strain to understand things, but you can never quite make sense of it all. In other words, the paradox of Lynchian sensibility is that it is at once easy to recognize and hard to define. His goal, ultimately, is to disturb us. If I were to pitch to you the plot of an episode of Twin Peaks, you wouldn't imagine it to be more than 4 or 5 minutes. But Lynch extends his runtime and keeps his audience's attention with long drawn-out shots and sequences that seem out of place and on theme at the same time. It's not about what these shots contribute to the story. These shots contribute to amplifying the audience's emotions. Looking at these shots feels wrong, or angering, or exciting. It feels like you're being cast into someone else's dream. Sometimes it feels awkward, like you're watching something you shouldn't. Sometimes it feels scary. Sometimes it feels like you shouldn't be looking at something and you have to block your screen from other people so they don't see what you're watching. It's awkward in the way that watching a sex scene with your parents is. You don't even want to acknowledge what you're watching. He's trying to make you feel alone. He knows that you're watching, and he's talking only to you. But when it's all over, he, the director, decides to break character. The credits of his films are always very calm and reassuring, minimalistic and tangible, a dramatic contrast to the films themselves. After all that's happened, this is David Lynch's way of saying that you don't need to be scared, and that everything you saw was just a story.